Happy New Year, dear listeners, and sorry that the Hanukkah episode ran a little late this week. The holiday season was just a little bit busier than even I predicted. And you know what? Hanukkah only ended yesterday, so whatever. If we could do Christmas episodes up until January, why the hell not? Shouldn't Hanukkah get the same treatment? But before we begin, I thought I'd let you all know that we are going to be taking a brief hiatus for the month of January, just to kind of recuperate. We will be back come February-ish because there's a little production with the Worlds Elsewhere Theater Company we're going to want to do a tie-in episode to. More on that later. And remember, the following podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed therein are solely those of the speakers.
When we celebrate Hanukkah, we're really celebrating the story of Judah and the Maccabees. A story that began over 2,000 years ago during one of the earth's darkest hours. The cruel king, Antiochus, had conquered the world and decreed that all people in every land should pay tribute to his pagan gods. He sent merciless armies to enforce his decree and to slaughter all who disobeyed. Antiochus succeeded everywhere except in one corner of the empire, in a land called Israel.
Though the people stubbornly resisted, they were no match for Antiochus's army. And in the face of certain doom, the people of Israel desperately needed a great leader.
Welcome to A Neat Retelling, the podcast where we explore all the ways old tales are made new. Happy Hanukkah, everyone, and I am your host, Jasmine Garcia, and joining me today are...
Hello, I am Bex, and I wholeheartedly am confused at exactly how many young Scream Kings were made up the cast of these little Jewish boys in this movie.
Right?
I'm Charley, and you the mensch.
I'm Ella, and I'm the butt, baby.
God. Oh, God. Oh,
That
God.
is
Yeah,
true.
I can't defend that part.
I can. I thought it was funny.
I love the principal looking shocked and horrified that he's talking to a minor that way, and then it
Saying
just
you're
never
butt.
comes up again.
Yeah.
Because it's a Disney movie.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be a whole plot of like...
Hey, you can't be calling kids the butt, all right? You just can't.
Yeah, like I said, that's why I can't defend it. But yeah, so for our Hanukkah episode, we will be covering the Disney Channel original movie Full Court Miracle.
Yay!
Greetings, I am IER60, Star Wars Retelling Connections. Point of intersection found. This is a degree 5. James Thatcher was a French horn musician for the original and sequel trilogies Rogue One and Solo. Miriam Mayer was a violin and viola musician for The Phantom Menace.
Which is a big nostalgic item for me, I must confess right now.
Interesting,
Oh,
because I've never heard of this until you brought it up. For this
I heard of
podcast.
it. Tony Goldmark told me about it, and then I didn't
that makes
believe
sense.
him.
Yeah.
I knew it as the Jewish DCOM, but I never saw it because I also heard Luck of the Irish was the same plot but better.
Well, there are no leprechauns in this, but I actually...
Timothy Odmanson isn't in this one either,
No,
unfortunately.
no.
which
My dad is Irish Catholic, and my mom is Jewish, so I have both of my cultures represented by basketball.
Yeah, and I'm part
DCOMs.
Jewish and part mermaid, so that I get this in the 13th year.
Oh, the 13th year. We'll talk about... let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. Or a tail.
But yes, what's especially exciting about this Hanukkah episode is I'm kind of the token not Jewish person here, so that's kind of neat.
Goy.
Exactly. As I joked in the chat, this is just like my middle school experience. I'm watching a Disney Channel original movie and hanging out with my Jewish friends because, as I said before, I grew up on Long Island.
Yes.
So true.
We're not in Long Island in this film. We're in Philly, baby. My hometown, Philly
Well,
mentioned.
it was shot in Toronto, and they do not try to hide famous
okay.
Toronto.
So I believe exactly one shot that was actually done in Philly, and it's the opening shot because
That's
Yeah.
and you can tell. But also, there was a cameo from a real basketball player who was playing for the Toronto team at the time, so they didn't even try to hide it a little bit.
Interesting.
That's so funny. But with that all in mind, the reason why this qualifies for our Hanukkah episode is because, along with it technically being based on a true story, because it turns out Lamont Carr was a real person. Unfortunately, he did pass away in 2017, but this references the story of Hanukkah so much. It's like they had an assignment
They had a word count.
to do a modernized take on the Hanukkah
Get
story.
paid every time they say the word Judah Maccabee, I guess.
From what I understand, Lamont Carr really did teach basketball at a Hebrew school. So that's the true story. And then Disney's like, hey, if we just say Judah Maccabee a bunch, we can make this a holiday movie. And they do nothing they didn't reference latkes.
And it certainly is whatever. Like, the rest of it is filled in with the most bizarre, like, bridging of ideas.
That fully gets dropped in the middle until they're in the final thing, and they're like, oh, God,
So-
we have to bring it back in.
I do think the climax works as a tying it all together, but otherwise, throughout, the only kind of thing is like, hey, remember, it would be like if a Christmas movie was just like, hey, Jesus existed.
Or it would be like, well, they keep theorizing that Lamont Carr, who again is a real guy, is the ghost of Judah Maccabee.
Because I guess we couldn't bring up reincarnation in this movie. Like, I know why it's not part of Judaism, but still. I'd argue it'd make more sense if he was the reincarnation than the ghost.
They talk about it initially, the main character Alec and his rabbi that teaches at his school. They talk about it initially in a pretty clearly metaphorical sense that his failing basketball team needs a metaphorical Judah Maccabee to lead them into victory. And then
Which would have been fine.
And then Alex decides that he meant that literally. When
You need to
himself-
find the second coming of Judah Maccabee.
Which is weird. That's such a weird commingling of religious ideas. That
Yeah,
it's like, he is the second coming? Famously, Jews not really subscribed to that concept.
So yeah, we got this kid, Alex, the most Alex Schlotzy.
Schlotzy, they call him.
Every name in this movie is more Jewish than the last,
Yes,
both in the
somehow.
cast and in the actual names. So they're in the worst basketball team known to man. And yeah, this
Which is
kid's
wild
like-
considering they exist in the same city as the 76ers. That's a joke for the Philly people and also
For you.
For me.
Sports
but also
go sports.
Particularly that recently there's an arena being developed that will essentially topple like the local Chinatown and that economy for the 76ers, and they are not a very winning team in general, so this is like they're even more popular to make fun of now than they were before.
Got it.
Get it.
Cheesesteaks, Rocky.
There's
Rocky
Alex.
4
He's-
actually.
So this Alex, he's 14. I don't really know if he's in middle school or high school, and
No, I'm 99% sure he's in middle school. I'm pretty sure they said it in the movie.
the worst basketball team of middle schoolers known to man. And so his
Right.
rabbi,
He teaches history, which in this film is the class where you talk about the story of Hanukkah and nothing else.
Did they do anything to convince us this movie took place in December, by the way?
no,
We see a rainstorm.
Did they ever actually say it's December, though? Because maybe Hanukkah just came really early this year.
Hanukkah came in October during the...
Yeah.
The 25th of Kislev fell in October in our calendar, and
could
when this
happen.
movie took place.
it could
Yeah,
happen.
it does not seem like it's November. It seems like autumn weather.
So the rabbi gives this kid, like, you gotta find a Judah Maccabee, implying that you gotta be the one to step up and lead your team. Alex takes it as, yeah, there's this random man shooting hoops in the basketball court at the park. I'm gonna pay him to teach us.
Much like the snarky Jew that came before him, Bugs Bunny, Alex recruits a famous basketball player to help
Yeah.
his
I-
failing team.
It is in each retelling. What is your familiarity with the story of Space Jam? But
Oh, God.
I've never seen a story about a man in a van being stalked by a bunch of children.
Role reversal.
It's about time, you know.
Yeah.
It's been the other way for far too long.
And the stalking is just very much encouraged by the film.
Yeah. When Ella was watching this, she messaged, Disney Channel says it's okay to stalk people.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah.
But then again, we do have to admit that I feel like Alex learned the stalking from his mother, aka
The worst character.
May I just say, like, when I say that they are trying to hammer in the idea that Lamont Carr, the fictionalized Lamont Carr, is Judah Maccabee, like, literally, they spell it out in the movie, like, his license plate.
Spell it out on the license plate, yeah.
Yeah.
They spelled it on the license plate. They have one of the little Jewish boys test Lamont, being like, what was your dad's name? How many brothers did you have?
And if you rearrange the letters in Lamont Carr, you get, I am Judah Maccabee.
Ella, I don't think that's true.
No, you don't.
This just in, we're dyslexic. No, but the thing that got me the most, when the kids like testing him and Lamar goes, I have 3 brothers. I had 4, but one died 10 years ago. And then the kid's just like, walks away. Alex, who is the chief kid running this whole shebang, gives him the money that he's paying him and goes, I'm sorry about your brother, man. And they walk off and they start practice.
But yeah, it does the standard sports movie thing where it's like they suck, but then they don't suck.
It also does the standard sports movie thing of at least one parent, usually the mom, is very unsupportive of the little boy's sports dreams, wants him to grow up and become a doctor or a lawyer. But eventually she comes around.
And the dad is a goofball.
Hey, look, the dad's great. I would like to marry the dad. In fact, power of positive thinking, I'm gonna marry that dad someday.
Rooting for you there, Ella.
Do we want to do the familiarity with the story that it is allegedly retelling?
Sure, go for it.
Yeah, so apparently this is a retelling of the story of Hanukkah, evidenced by like a weird slow motion dream sequence, I guess, where Alex is fulfilling the role of Judah Maccabee.
I literally opened this episode with it.
That dream sequence.
And as we all know, the story of Hanukkah is about the Maccabees not having enough oil to light their basketball game.
I mean, I'll give them this. It's a very literal adaptation. It's bold. Literally have the former coach looking at the generator to try to make it last long enough for them to win the game. Poor guy just wants to teach algebra.
I need to talk about Coach Simowitz. He is my favorite. He is the coach that they have before they recruit Lamont Carr. And the very beginning, the opening scene where Alex goes, hey, Coach Simowitz, could you maybe like coach us a little bit? And Coach Simowitz just stands up and goes, we are the Lions, the mighty, mighty Lions. I'm like,
he tried.
He also delivers the best line in the movie, Yuda Mensch. And I was like, I messaged Ella and I was like, I will not apologize for this. Yuda Mensch is a good line.
Yuda Mensch is the same film that has the hip hop beat followed by dreidel, dreidel. Dreidel, 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 dreidel.
It's a pickup game or on the court. We gon' always bring it to your heart with our first string. 1-on-1, 3-on-3, you can bring your whole team. But be ready for the pain of your aching feet and the sound of the crowd when you earn defeat. Well, nobody had your back, not even the guys on your team. Your cheerleaders gon' be screaming, but they screaming for me. Cause I'm the one coming down with the full court miracle. And with the ones with the game that's looking blessed. You don't hear me though, remember one thing that we all know is true. Miracles can do and will come happen for you. Dreidel, 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 dreidel. I made it out of clay. I made it out of clay. Dreidel, 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 dreidel. My dreidel, I'ma play. My dreidel, I'ma play.
Okay. And that was Spin Ya Like a Dreidel by Soul Survivor, which does not seem to exist outside of this film at this point. I have a feeling you will not be adding it to your Hanukkah playlists anytime soon.
It is at least trying to be culturally representative, even though it is kind of failing.
The 90s leftover is Alex D. Linz's whole shtick. Before I learned his name, I called him Jonathan Taylor Nonmus. Insufferable, sarcastic rat boy had to be the...
Who could forget Dear Rat Boy?
Yeah, protagonist of every movie for this demographic. Yeah, if you had a kid who was just a complete smartass, you were like, I'm going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
And Alex D. Linz, appropriately enough, did voice Hey Arnold. So
for 2 episodes.
Okay.
For 2 episodes, that's correct.
But yeah,
and
as we went over,
Tarzan.
Charlie and I have touched on this in the How the Grunkle Stole Hanukkah Gravity Falls episode that we talked about on here, but Story of Hanukkah in the grand scheme of Jewish holidays and Jewish history, is kind of a blip.
Yeah, it's not one of the high holy days. It's something that's overemphasized in America because there's so much Christmas culture.
Coincides with Christmas, yeah.
Yeah.
Usually. But yeah, I mean, it's essentially
the Maccabean revolt against the Seleucid Empire.
Right, and the actual holiday refers not to the war, but the aftermath, in which there was only enough oil to light their menorah for a day.
And enter a miracle where it did indeed last for 8 nights.
It's a very resonant story, but again, it's not as prominent in Jewish culture as some might think that it is from the outside.
Mm-hmm. Our last one, we said it would be like over commercializing Arbor Day because...
Yeah, and to an outside perspective, I can see how, like, you know, if Christmas gets a whole aisle in the store and Hanukkah gets an end cap, it can look unfair, but it's like, no, that's proportional to how major those holidays are.
Yeah,
so
the birth of the Savior versus the victory of a war you probably don't think about too much.
There's like 3 categories of Jewish holiday, and one of those that Hanukkah falls into is they tried to kill us, we survived, let's eat. Yep. There's a poster in, I guess, the rabbi's office that says, "Come and dig Israel," and I was like, is it cool if I don't?
That kind of took me out of the movie immediately, where I was like, oh yeah, this is 2000s. They wouldn't have been questioning that at this time.
At least not in mainstream media, no. Our dear listeners know where we stand on that.
Was anyone else getting a very biblical vibe when Mom pulled up to the outside of the school where they were all selling coffee and said, "My temple should be a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of coffee," and she flips the table?
Oh, God.
Oh, that was the teacher. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the teacher.
I'm sorry, I couldn't tell apart the sexist caricatures.
They needed as many horrible harpy women as possible. There are 2 horrible harpy women, at least. It's really strange.
Yeah, that women hate fun. They hate sport.
I don't watch movies always expecting to see women portrayed well. I understand that they're movies, and tends to be how it goes.
But
and when there's exceptions, it's a surprise. But this
Yeah.
took it so far that I was like, in the 2000s?
I mean, the 2000s
You
really
hate
did hate
women
women
this much?
Yeah, it was weird.
The
You
thing
first.
that bothered
Yeah.
me was the complete lack of understanding from the mom of her own kid.
Yeah.
And getting him a dictionary for Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Not that
An encyclopedia.
encyclopedia. I mean, look who's talking. My folks literally got me How to Get Better Handwriting for Adults a couple years ago.
Also, at this point...
Look, just because it's accurate doesn't mean it's fair.
Yes.
At this point, encyclopedia collections were being heavily advertised in infomercials, by the way.
Yeah.
That is
Oh, yeah.
The most unenthusiastic product placement. Wow, thanks. And there's this running subplot where the principal, Mrs. Klein, they end up hiring Lamont Carr to coach for the school properly, since he is in Philly trying to get recruited for the Sixers and is currently living out of his van.
In a van down by the river!
Down by the Schuylkill River. And he has to keep that under wraps from the principal that he does not have.
Under wraps is a different one.
Yeah, that's true. So he has to keep that Xenon girl of the 21st century from the... He does that line of sight thing to make up an address when he sees a framed picture of Thomas Jefferson, and then at the end he goes, "Thanks, Tom," which I laughed
Yikes.
at.
Well, there's some yikes to that.
Now that I think about it, weird choice, but
Yeah.
I just liked that he talked to it.
Hang in there, Joan.
I mean, true, yeah. And then there came a point where she was trailing him to the apartment that Alex sets him up with because his dad's a real estate agent, so he manages to get him in there.
Yep.
As a cover. And as she's trailing him, she's like in like a trench coat and glasses and all this kind of thing. And I have in my notes, I was like, at this point, I wrote, remember when this movie was about basketball?
The premise is far too thin to make up 90 minutes, so there are like 5 subplots.
Yeah. There's a scene where it's just this one moment, really. And there's a scene where her convertible hood roof accidentally goes down, and then she gets, splashed with this mud puddle thing, and then she has to walk around all filthy and all embarrassed, and that felt like a Nickelodeon thing.
You're right. The adult figure being punished with slime for their
Not even just
transgressions
slime,
against
any kind of physical humiliating, like it felt like Big Fat Liar or something. Like
it's not unheard of in the DCOM.
No, but it was jarring, especially for a film that is so like generally not that cynical.
Yeah,
but it is rabbinical.
It's rabbinical, yeah. She has this arc, I guess? Question mark?
She has to learn how to have fun, basically.
Yeah. One scene I really do enjoy was the scene where the rabbi is trying to explain the fun of basketball to Mrs. Klein.
I do like that one.
And
I mean, the rabbi is great.
Rabbi Lewis is great.
A perfect, I almost said a perfect hole-in-one.
Oh!
Slam
dunk.
dunk.
Kind of sports metaphor.
Can you tell that we're theater kids, dear listeners?
I've played basketball. I've also watched Space Jam more than I enjoy Space Jam.
I watched Space Jam far too many times as a kid as well.
Oh, as a kid, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's what you meant, right?
That's what I meant.
I like that. Yeah, that scene has a really great quote. Sometimes a little silliness is good for the soul, which I heartily agree with. Yeah.
But Ella and I are always strictly business, so we don't exactly exemplify that.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm always working overtime at the hospital as a.
I have a briefcase.
Yeah.
I am always wearing a tie and a blazer.
This movie also, almost every character is like a stereotype. I'm like, this is kind of cringy as your one Jewish movie.
That is the vestiges of the 90s.
Let me see if I can list these stereotypes. We got
let's go.
A little fat boy.
Yeah.
He's the butt, baby.
Way too into the religion member of the group. We got the best friend character who is also kind of disapproving of Alex, but also kind of okay.
And barely in
Alex,
the movie.
who is the crafty little boy who's
cool
able to
kid.
Scrappy and hustle.
The sarcastic rat boy.
Yes, indeed. We got the dad that's a goofball. We got the kind of love interest. It's hard to show love interest when they're A, 14, and B, they've got 3 scenes together, and C, I thought they were siblings for the first half of the movie.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant by the best friend. But yeah, I guess, kind of love interest.
That's what I was assuming. Because I'm well, she's a girl.
She's a girl. Okay.
And it's a Disney Channel original movie.
So girls are for annoying sister or girls are for kiss?
Ooh, can we talk about the portrayal of stereotypes is bad, but the portrayal of Judaism in this.
Well, I meant Jewish stereotypes. I meant a lot of these characters are kind of.
Oh yeah. My favorite one that comes up is when Lamar asks for milk after having the liver, and the entire table looks like he just killed their whole family.
I messaged Ella during that part, and I was like, I get that for the fish out of water scene, gefilte fish out of water scene, I get that they, have to have him make a faux pas. I get that. And I get that, the big thing of kosher is mixing meat and dairy. But the idea of a grown man asking for milk with his meat was that was kind of a stretch.
Well, hey,
for me.
look, he's a basketball player. It's for his bones.
He's bones. He fell into the got milk
bones.
propaganda.
Yeah, the milk-aganda.
It was the 2000s. But no, I don't know. That took me out of it. I'm they just needed him to make the faux pas. That's not a real meal an adult man would have.
No. Yeah, that was weird. But I kind of like the Shabbat dinner scene otherwise.
No, it was good. I liked that they bonded.
Friday's a great night for some Sabbath. That's from Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, the middle school boys having these neurotic old Jewish comedian ways of speaking reminded me of that and this Comedy Bang Bang sketch.
We've played that one on our podcast before. There's a Comedy Bang Bang sketch starring Jeanette McCurdy where it's a show about teenagers that's written by old Jewish men. And progressively, they stop trying to write teenage. They keep accidentally making them reference things they wouldn't know. And then by the end, they're just oi, my back. Oh, this heat. I should have retired in Florida. My golf swing ain't what it used to be at 13.
So then, you've got this film of 12-year-olds just going giving me agita here, sticks.
Literally, I was like, what are we talking about? These are 90s kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 90s refused to live.
This might be unnecessary shade, but did the 90s also look like they were filmed on a potato?
Mostly.
It's shot like a movie of the times. But all the weird slow-mo and fades.
Yes, that was
in
very
final
bad.
basketball game.
That is also not uncommon in the Disney Channel original movie Oeuvre.
I know, but it doesn't.
Hey!
Come on, the oeuvre.
Ella and I have running joke.
Oh, yeah,
about
that's
that.
right.
It's the magic.
That only Ella and I find funny. Well, we could ruin our magic on other podcasts.
On a different podcast, that's true.
Where we try to say the word oeuvre at least once per episode. It's not funny. The listeners have never noticed because they don't care.
We didn't notice until recently.
No, we were doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
No, but the movie, it's unfortunate because I actually started, like, I'm easy, okay, with my movies. If it has a plot and it's
and
not
a schlot.
piece of shit, shout out Better Off Single, you are dead to me. I will eventually enjoy it. And I was like rooting for the little kid. And then the way that, first of all, the dance scene.
That tanked it for you, huh?
No. I thought that was real as hell. Exactly the thing that little middle school boys would do.
Yeah, that's also true.
What I found funny about that scene is the crowd was all like, oh, wow, they're so cool. And I'm like, if I did this with my friends when I was in middle school, that would not be the reaction.
We would not hear the end of it. We would not hear the end of it.
It reminded me of the cafeteria scene from Scream 2.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for that. I'm sorry.
It's the worst scene in any Scream film. I'm sorry.
The competing team's coach is a supervillain.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, they're the Monstars. This
They're
is an
Monstars,
adaptation
yeah.
of... That's
also
Danny
Romans.
DeVito's character.
This is the Hanukkah Space Jam crossover we always wanted, right, guys?
Always.
Exactly.
It's a very Space Jam Hanukkah.
The thing that ties
I
it back
guess
to the whole, we're doing Hanukkah tradition is that they are
That's this movie's subtitle, by the way.
Oh, yeah, we're doing
Full
Hanukkah.
Miracle. Oh yeah, we're doing Hanukkah.
They're doing really, really, really well in the game. They got like 5 minutes left.
They've got their head in the game.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. They got to get their head in the game, but it's already
There's
there.
a thunderstorm.
So there are like 5 minutes left on the clock. There's this crazy, fake-looking storm.
It looks like the one that sent Marty back to 1985.
Oh
my God, it does.
Same one.
Stock footage.
Yeah.
But so the power goes out and the emergency generator goes on. And they're like, we only have enough fuel left for like 2 minutes.
And they dedicate a lot of time to showing Simowitz deducing how much time is left. They take a lot of shots.
Because first they ask him how the generator's doing, and he goes, I teach algebra. But then he's able to use his algebra to determine how much.
He has the most compelling arc in this film.
So they call a timeout, and the other team, the Warriors, are just waiting down the clock, and you literally hear their coach going 47.
It has to be
48.
illegal as a move.
Oh, I mean, in fairness, that's also very common in sports movies. I may not watch a lot of sports movies, but if there's one thing I know, it's that the opposing team is always full of monsters.
That's monster.
There ain't no rule that says Jews can't play basketball.
You can't.
You want to commit to that? You want to commit to that?
What they did say in the movie, what the rabbi did say, I was like, well, there's nothing in the rule book that says a non-Jew can't teach at a Jewish school.
They always have to
God
check
damn
the
it, you're
rule
right.
book. You're right.
That's the other stereotype that we're always checking the rule books.
Yep,
If
yep.
Jews aren't some of the most argumentative bitches I know. Come on.
That's true. Yeah, and then the oil in the generator, the fuel, miraculously lasts long enough, and I don't think they needed to bring it to they call the timeout thing. I don't think they needed to do that. I think they could have just had it. They expect the clock to run out, and then it doesn't.
I expected something to get struck by lightning, and I was a little disappointed.
Yeah,
I thought the generator was going to get struck by lightning, and that was the miracle that caused the... And I'm like, oh, this is a miracle caused not by Yahweh, but by Thor.
Man, we're doing a lot of Norse mythology references in these Hanukkah episodes this year. What does it mean?
And then the lightning strikes like a nearby...
Simowitz would have... No, Simowitz was going to get superpowers, which was going to lead into the spinoff.
Oh, I was going to say Simowitz.
What would he be? He would be Algebra Man.
I thought Simowitz...
I would watch 2 more seasons of Simowitz. He was wonderful.
Say
Hebrew
the lightning...
No, fuck that movie.
True.
We're having a sequel about Algebra Man.
I thought I was expecting the lightning to. I thought you were going to say strike a nearby bush, and then it talks to Simowitz about.
Yeah, that's good. That's the wrong holiday, though.
Yeah.
Wrong holiday.
Speaking of, did I
That's
already?
for the sequel.
That's the sequel. That's
Did
the
I
sequel.
say this? I might have said this in
Simowitz
our.
becomes Moses?
I hope he does.
Well, we got to start writing this sequel. I know.
Well, no, and
the
then
last time Ella and I
the kids
guested
are all
on a
gonna-
podcast together,
the
we
kids are all
promised we would write a
gonna.
sequel.
The kids are all gonna look at Simowitz and go, "I think he's the ghost of Moses."
The ghostist with the Moses.
The ghost
No.
supposes.
Can I talk about Coach and Alex's relationship?
Please do.
Even though
It's so
Alex is a
interesting.
little bitch that decided to stalk this poor man
Yeah.
and pay him in crumpled up $20 bills by stealing his family's
Undignified.
espresso machine and selling precious cards they got him for his bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
They still have a really cute relationship.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is a little shit, but in fairness, he is a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, and I got a little tug at the heartstrings with the scene where him and his family are lighting the candles for the for Hanukkah, and then it's cross-cut with Carr looking at a drawing that his kid sent him.
I think that honestly was maybe the most real part of the movie. The family that were doing the blessing the first night.
Yeah, which is why it's a shame that they barely talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask, Lamont Carr, real dude,
Yes.
do you think any of the people he taught watched this movie and were like, "And that's how you're portraying us? Okay. Cool. We don't
Stalkers.
have a horrible harpy principle."
I don't know, but I do know that somebody who knew him said that his life should be a movie, but that's about all I saw in reference to the real Lamont Carr versus this movie.
I mean,
Well,
the guy who
it's
played
a
him was
movie.
fantastic.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, he did great.
When
And
I
hold on.
observed that this was basically Space Jam, I messaged Ella, this guy should have played Michael Jordan also. Like,
Yeah.
he can act.
I found it odd that so there's the scene where it's where you're the butt baby comes from is the scene where he's trying to tell everyone on the team what their kind of specialized skill is that they bring to the team, and one of them he says he's encouraging them to trash talk, which I found interesting because I feel like that would get them in trouble.
Also, incorrect. I don't think there was ever him encouraging anyone to trash talk.
No, he said you
No.
gotta get inside the other your
Yeah, he
your
did.
opponent's head.
He literally said you have to trash talk to
That
to
is
try
true,
to
yeah.
distract them.
He
But
did.
then
Maybe
there
I
was the
was-
other one. There was the other one who he was discouraging from trash talking the ref. Where he said
Yeah.
every time you think about trash talking the ref, just be horny.
Yes.
Dear listeners, for the record, he said, think of the sweetest thing. He did not tell him to be horny in this Disney Channel original movie.
To which, in the final game, he shouts out, "I love you, Rebecca Bloomberg," or whatever, and a random shot of a girl being like,
I love the name. They were just like, I think I knew
Rebecca
5
Bloomberg,
girls
I
with
think
that name at
Rebecca
camp.
Bloomberg, I think I went to camp with her. Every
I
name in
also
this
went to
movie.
camp with her.
Every name
Yeah.
in this movie is someone you went to camp with.
Yes, truly.
Except me, I did not in fact go to summer camp. I did go to a summer program hosted by my local middle school. That was actually where I got my first job. I helped the yoga class.
Every single one. And multiples as well. I knew like 10 Alexes.
Yeah, no, Alex and Rebecca.
Alex
Yes.
J, Alex L, Alex M.
Mhm.
Oh, God. See, in my school, it was all like Michaels and Christophers.
Yeah. mhm.
Well, that's pretty Christian.
Well, that's
Yeah.
boy. I mean,
Yeah, that's
What do you
pretty
think
royal.
Christopher is
guys,
derived
my
from?
my legal name is Rebecca.
Oh.
Well, yes, but I never used it, so.
Bloomberg?
But the call is coming from inside the podcast. The mom not being able to cook and like failing at like mom stuff.
Oh, say
Oh,
the
yeah.
waffle. Yeah, the waffle.
But the
in
waffle
microwave.
was, so she put the waffle in the microwave and then it was still frozen when it came out. It was treated like her failing. You could just put it back in. There were also no sound effects when she put it in the microwave, and I was like, did they not even bought? But then there was a sound when it ended.
I don't know. It's a DCOM. They're not going
And
to.
that she.
Having watched the first half hour and then left for a week or so and then watched the rest, the mom can't cook character trait gone by my second viewing session.
In fairness, she doesn't
any
cook
of the rest
since.
of the movie.
Yeah.
That's because later in the movie she gives up and goes to a kosher pizza place.
Her failed cooking is she accidentally cooks the generator, and heating it up is what causes it to run
That's
longer.
right.
No,
Sure.
but-
It all pays off.
oh, I think we mentioned the random cameo of the actual basketball player as himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because remember, Lamont's trying to get on the Sixers.
Lamont, at one point, Lamont is like, I gotta meet with a friend. And then there's just a couple seconds of him playing basketball with this real basketball player. And I'm like, did he not have to lie? What was that for? Also, again, he was playing for Toronto at the time. So it's like the artifice of this takes place in Philly is like gone by including this cameo that doesn't even need to be.
Oh, he just happened to be in the neighborhood.
Yeah, and he put in a good word for him so we could have the Act 2 conflict, basically.
I just realized this movie came out in 2003.
Yeah.
2003. For sexism this bad.
Yeah.
No, that's what I was saying. Yeah, if this was a movie from the 40s, I'd understand.
Yeah, I didn't
You're going to
process,
freak out when you hear about what's going on in 2024.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone gets real sad for a second.
Hey,
That happens a lot on this pod.
Why was this movie 3 hours long is my question.
It was 3 hours long, I'm pretty sure. I was like, oh, right, I have to finish watching this today. And because I have a lot of, Ella and I are working on a 6-hour podcast.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of editing to do today. And I'm like, before I get to the editing, I should finish watching this movie because I have to talk about it on this podcast. And I was like, I am so excited to work today because it means I get to stop doing this.
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry.
No, but
It's not your fault. You didn't make it.
You
Can we talk about how the child knows how to reverse search a license plate number?
That was
Yeah, what's
so
up with that?
messed up.
That was
Again,
weird. That can't be something you can just do on a regular
not.
computer search, is it?
I hope not.
Like,
Although, I don't know.
can't
Privacy is an illusion.
if I'm driving and Ella's in the passenger seat, as she is wont to do, and we see a license plate in front of us, we can't just be like, wonder what that guy's name is, and Google it, and then pull over next to him and be like, hi, Carl. Like, you can't do that, right?
I hope
20
not.
bucks, Carl.
You owe me $20, Carl.
Oh, God. I hope not.
Rough.
I hope that was fictional for the sake of this movie, and if it isn't, that's terrifying. And if it is,
It's a terrible
suspension
thing
of
to
disbelief
encourage.
kind of broken.
Yeah.
Verisimilitude compromise.
That
It says JM, like Judah Maccabee.
JM165.
yeah, 165, like the year.
I wanna post just in isolation. I guess you know now that I live in my car. It's better than being a ghost, and then him just going, what? I want to post that clip of like that one like hit me like a
That's a
basketball to the face.
He
I was
said
like,
that like a threat.
My other favorite
Being a
thing
ghost in the
was
I followed you under this bridge, Lamont. I've been stalking you for days. I followed you under this bridge. I'm gonna make you a ghost.
Oh, God.
my other favorite thing, though. I did like the relationship between all the little boys
Yeah.
and them helping Alex restudy for his test.
That I
was
did
cute.
like. I did like that.
That was
And then
very
he goes,
cute.
Can I
And, like-
can I dribble a pretend ball? He's like, all right.
Whatever works for you. And then the rabbi
As a former
also-
teacher, I would have done it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, I went to a special education school, so I'm like, that's honestly all fair.
Yeah.
But I was expecting him to have to dribble a real ball during the test, and I was a little disappointed.
You were expecting
That's
him
true.
to pull one out of nowhere.
He's got to be able to. You have to master hammer space if you're ever going to get ahead
Once
in this
again,
sport.
this is
An extra miracle of Hanukkah, I guess.
Yeah.
in the stealth sequel to Space Jam. Alex has hammer space Looney Tunes.
Exactly.
It's a remake of Space Jam.
Of course.
It is probably better than Space Jam, I think.
I think Space
I
Jam.
disagree. Space Jam gave me my sexual awakening, so I strongly disagree.
Yeah.
That bunny was hot.
I think Space Jam's a very bad movie. I think it's slightly more watchable. I think it's
Yeah.
not boring.
Yeah. It's
But,
not
but also,
boring.
can you really grade them on the same curve?
No, probably
Yes!
not.
Did they
B+.
have a sexy bunny? Yes or no? I am the problem that they tried to fix with Space Jam 2.
Space Jam might have Lola Bunny, but Full Court Miracle has the dad.
The Kiss Me I'm Kosher
Yeah.
apron trying to play one-on-one with his kid and then ruining a car.
Yes,
Which I'm assuming
yeah.
was his car.
I mean, we could just Google whose car it was.
That's true. Well, if we had to see the license plate. But yeah, and
But
also
no,
him
he's an
coming
A+
through-
goofy dad.
And he came through. He wasn't also overly goofy either, because he came through and got that place that he was trying to sell
True.
set up for. And he also made that arrangement with Carr that
Yeah.
Carr
Yeah,
would like.
that
was
like,
real
I'll
as
fix it up,
hell.
and then
Well-
I love the first time him and the rabbi are together at the game. He's like screaming and touching the rabbi, and he's like, okay, Cool. But by the end, they're just like screaming and touching each other.
Is so
and so this
hype in that last scene.
This film is secretly a romance, is what I'm trying to say.
If anything, I was thinking, he goes with the rabbi, and then the wife goes with the principal.
With the principal,
the wife and the principal, and then they keep confusing who is who between each other.
Because they can't tell women apart.
That's
the one
perfect.
It's the one who doesn't like fun.
They both don't like fun.
That doesn't help.
What did this dad and this mom have in common? How did they get together?
They are both married to each other. So they have that in common.
That's a good reason to be married.
Get married, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I remember when I had a Jewish girlfriend, my grandma was nuts about her. So maybe that was all it was.
Maybe.
I can't say anything about that.
So the Jewish mothers and grandmas are really excited when you find another Jew to keep the lineage going on.
So it's not just a stereotype. Okay.
No, it's for real, Jazz.
The dad is the proverbial nice Jewish boy grown up.
It's true.
Literally, my mother earlier today was asking my cousin Julie if she had any nice, nerdy Jewish girls at law school that she could introduce to my brother.
Oh,
that's great. Yeah.
Well, to which Julie replied, "No, my class is full of bitches, real as hell." But
that doesn't change my question.
Yeah,
introduce me to those women instead, please.
Yeah.
My ex, who of course was named Amanda, that's one of the other ones.
Oh, I went to camp with her,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
When we broke up, like, amicably, and we were both, like, cool about it, when I told my grandma, she cried.
Yeah.
She was 2 sinks Jewish. As in, meat dishes and dairy dishes washed in 2 separate sinks, 2 separate dishes.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more lore about Charlie's super grandma, you can listen to the episode of this very podcast about how the
That's true. We did the How the Grunkle Stole. Our previous Hanukkah episode this year was secretly just stories about my grandma. Yeah,
it was so delightful.
We touched on super grandma. I don't think I thought about it and remembered the whole story. I asked if she wanted to be credited as Charlie's grandma in the credits, and she texted me back saying Charlie's super grandpa.
One word, super grandma.
To be honest, I wasn't sure. I never went to a yeshiva school. I was raised Reform. So some of the stuff in this movie, I was a bit wondering, like, how much of this is stereotype and how much of it just was like that in the 90s.
Yeah, I never went to any kind of religious school. I was raised secular because I had parents, one Catholic, one Jewish, and I got...
am I the only one that's not a swirl? That's not a chocolate vanilla swirl?
Well, hey, it's matrilineal. I'm a full Jew where it counts.
Pistachio vanilla swirl.
The whole pistachio exchange.
Odd is wearing socks that don't match. Odd is pistachio ice cream.
I like pistachio.
I understood, but I also...
But it just does mean that generations going back, they're going to be real... Like, my last girlfriend, I would say, went to church, and my grandma was like,
Oh, dear.
No words. But I never went to those types of schools, but I also navigated a lot of like social situations, like with family who were Jewish. So I understand a lot of the social dynamics that they're displaying, albeit stereotypically, just not the inner workings of the school itself.
I think my mom went to Hebrew school, but I don't talk to her.
And certainly not in Hebrew.
I went to Hebrew school on Wednesdays and Sundays. And I was the only one who didn't go to bicultural, which was the Jewish day school. I went to a different private school instead.
Is that every 2 cultures or every other culture?
Yes. The one thing I do really appreciate about this movie is that it has no mention of Christmas at all in it.
That's true. That is true.
That is nice.
Because it does not take place in December.
Yes, that is true.
There's no way.
That's the clincher to this, the fact that this cannot take place in December.
But
Hold
truly,
on.
If I may be serious for a moment. Last year we watched Rugrats, beautiful, and also Elena of Avalor. And Elena of Avalor's episode had traditions and was showing specific Jewish traditions and Sephardic stuff that I was like, oh, I've never seen before. And then likewise with this year's episode, I was like, I've never seen anything involving Jews in the holiday time that doesn't even have a little mention of Christmas jealousy or Christmas creep or fucking Hanukkah bush.
Literally, the only thing you hear is that one of the boys celebrates both. That's literally it.
Yeah, the present
Hannah
jackpot.
Montana's the best of both worlds.
Which I did have.
We celebrated both, but I see in 2003 Hanukkah fell from December 19th to December 27th, but this is based on a true story, so it doesn't necessarily take place.
We can figure out what year Lamont Carr taught.
You cannot. There's no. If you look up Lamont Carr,
what about
all
if we
of the
find his
results
license plate?
If we find his license plate, that's one thing.
Yeah,
I found his obituary. That was about it.
Capitalism has inexplicably intertwined these two holidays.
Yeah.
So that
it feels free of that constraint in this movie. Like it's not it's its own thing. Yeah.
And just to see that was really nice. Even as
nice.
Stereotypy and schlocky as it may have been.
Schlotzy.
I did still really enjoy what was up with that monologue at the end.
That's God bless us everyone.
It's kind of like that, yeah.
Basically.
And the main point of this movie, as much as we've been joking about it, is supposed to be these people who, on the surface, don't seem to have a whole lot in common, are still able to kind of come together and make each other's lives better.
And also again, paralleling the Hanukkah story,
exactly.
extremely long odds prevailing despite all the things stacked against them,
If they didn't include the bit about him having bad knees, I would have considered him choosing to teach instead of joining the NBA a miserable ending.
Oh, absolutely.
But he also did it for his family, who he was somehow able to move out to Philly.
To this apartment he's not paying for.
Well, remember, in exchange for not paying for it, he's getting it set up so they can actually be sold.
Yeah, he was doing odd jobs.
And now he's got all the income of a teacher, so...
Oh boy.
God, he's set, baby.
Yeah.
Well, he is a gym teacher, so maybe his department will have funding. Who knows?
You got me there. But, about the monologue, because it kind of is him just summing up, hey, this is the meaning of Hanukkah, basically.
Hi, I'm the rabbi. We had a lot of fun here today, but let's not forget the true meaning of Hanukkah.
The meaning of Hanukkah is literally, they tried to kill us, they didn't, let's see. Though, on a more serious note...
I got my wife addicted to latkes.
If you want to hear our more serious thoughts on Hanukkah,
why not?
You should for sure listen to last year's episode. Alana does a lovely job with a little intro and stuff. But this year, you got us lovable goofs. Just talking about goofy DCOMs.
I mean, no, Ella and I are strictly business.
Oh,
we are lovable.
I'm so sorry.
We're lovable
I forgot we were
business
wearing suits and ties.
We're lovable business types.
They couldn't even do it with a straight face, guys.
My briefcase of love.
Yeah.
Their eyebrows were raised to the permanent giggle the entire time they said that.
Very serious.
Lovable business types. Pleasure doing business with you this Hanukkah.
Indeed. We will see each other in 5
business years.
No, I was going to say 5 whatever year we're in, but I don't know the Jewish calendar.
Hey, if there could be business days, what other types of time could be measured in business? Sorry. Business decades. I think we've stopped talking about the movie.
Yeah, I think it's time to start wrapping up.
A lot to talk about with this movie, despite it being really long. I feel
despite it being 90 business minutes long.
Yeah.
It was a shocking hour and a half, and it did not need to be.
Right. I mean, when the most shocking part being the lightning that struck Mr.
They really I thought this premise could only last for 20 minutes, but in the miracle, it lasted for 9 minutes.
In all seriousness, yes, I cannot disagree with most of the criticisms of this movie, but I am still really fond of it, and I am glad that
it's cute.
It's cute. It's cute. And
I wouldn't, if a kid were watching this, I wouldn't hurriedly change it to Bluey.
Or bully them.
I would let a kid watch it. I would maybe have a talking to them about women's rights afterwards.
Be like, hey, so you understand that women can enjoy fun as much as men, right?
Yeah, you understand that women's place is not in the kitchen, right? Well, she's also...
Well, her place... that's actually the moral of the story.
Yeah, this movie explicitly says women don't belong in the kitchen.
Get women the fuck out of the kitchen, this movie says. I got my wife addicted to latkes.
As is right and proper. Latkes are delicious.
That ghost I saw pass behind your door?
Yeah.
There weren't enough latkes in this movie.
There weren't
There's
any.
not a single latke in this
There
movie.
was the dreidel mention in the
rap
basketball
song.
rap.
Dreidel,
In the rap
dreidel.
song, which I messaged Ella. I'm glad they finally got to use that bit after it was presumably cut from an episode of The Critic, because
Yeah.
Hanukkah basketball on the first night of Hanukkah playing under a rap version of the dreidel song feels like a joke from The Critic, not like
You're not
a real.
wrong.
We
You're
only
not
have enough
wrong.
jokes to make this premise last for a minute. But in the
But
yeah.
it was a miracle. Mr. Seibwitz gets struck by lightning and turns into a Hanukkah-themed superhero. A Hanukkah and algebra-themed.
Makes sense
That's
to
going to
me.
be in our next retelling.
Oh,
Story
good.
of Algebra
Yes.
Man.
Algebra
I'm so
Man.
excited.
Final thoughts would be that I teach algebra.
I would say don't watch it, and if you're not in the United States, you can't anyway. So you don't have to.
Exactly.
I would say don't watch it, but also Coach Simowitz is there, and I don't.
Well,
wanna deprive
then
people of that.
they'll get way more Coach Simowitz in Algebra Man.
So then,
like,
what we have to do is to make it standalone. We can't, it has to.
you don't have to watch Full Court Miracle to understand Algebra Man.
Algebra Man, a full court miracle story.
Facts. I will say, you know what? There are so many cheesy Christmas movies out there. Don't we deserve a cheesy Hanukkah movie too?
We deserve
True.
a chintzy, Hanukkah.
But we
movie.
have
It's-
one
and-
cheesy one and one god awful one. I'm
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like
Wait,
there are
let's do
five.
better.
There
Let's
are
do
five
better.
Hanukkah movies, and this is leagues above 8 Crazy Nights. So.
Oh, yeah, no, we do definitely need more though. Like,
Well, Ella and I did it.
that is true. You did. You did.
So don't
but
say we never
there
gave
should,
you nothing.
we should
We gave you
we should
8
have
things.
more than your beautiful 15-minute short.
Yeah,
Mm.
and the Rugrats.
And the Rugrats. And
Mhm.
Elena Avalor.
Yeah,
Yes.
but movies. We need proper movies. I know there's a Hallmark Hanukkah movie. I think.
Unfortunately, a lot of them, as we discovered while we were trying to find things we could cover for Hanukkah, so many of them are basically about, the collision of Christmas and Hanukkah and how the Jewish person learns about Christmas, basically. And I'm like, no.
Christmas. Tell us about it. What is it?
They should make movies about that.
Sure.
They should make movies about Christmas. That'd be fun.
Oh,
That'd be
God.
cool.
Anyway.
You know what? There's probably not enough going on there with that holiday to. It's
No.
not that important.
Are we going
There's
do
too
other
much. There are too
sign-offs?
many characters.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
mention of Elijah the prophet.
Anyway.
Long holiday.
I saved the seat
Yeah.
for him and
Alright.
everything.
Anyway, who's got stuff to plug, I guess?
We've got a lot of stuff to plug.
We hosted a podcast. Host.
We host a podcast.
You're hosting
It's
it now,
called
I'd
Mystery
say.
Shack Look Back.
No, it's over
Gravity
again.
Falls.
It's
well, it
over
is-
again.
It's still called Mystery Shack Look Back, and it's still a Gravity Falls podcast where we used to go over what the fandom was like at the time that the show was airing, and now we go over what the fandom's like now when new stuff is coming out, such as the Book of Bill, which we talked about for about 6 hours in edited form.
With Alex Hirsch and Bill Cipher and Hana Hyperfixates.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. Our backlog is us being like, here, we were there at the time. Here are our experiences. And our recent episodes are like, we were busy at the time, so we got a guest who was there.
Well, and also, not only just that we were busy at the time, but that they've reached levels of depth that are, impenetrable by any one person.
No, yeah.
But you should look for our future podcast we all do together, where Ella, Charlie, and I try and figure out who went to whose summer camp.
True.
Fairview Lake and Camp Horizons here.
So you can find
No.
Mystery Shack Look Back wherever you get your pods. You can find me at Drawn Without Ref on the social medias.
And in Philadelphia.
And in Philadelphia. But you shouldn't, unless you look up my license
Well,
plate.
Pretzel Theater Company.
Oh, Pretzel Theater Company, yes. But you shouldn't find me in my van by the river.
Wait, Ella, you're in Philly?
I am in Philly.
I got a bunch of theater Philly friends. We'll connect offline.
Oh, yeah, we'll connect. I'll have your...
Yeah, Ella runs
my
a theater
people.
company.
I do. I help run a theater company here in Philly. It's called the Pretzel Theater Company. I also will accept crumpled $20 bills if you find me in the city.
Crumpled, sweaty 14-year-old $20 bills.
No, not 14-year-old $20 bills.
If
you
you're
have
a
to be an
child,
adult.
don't give us money.
If you have to be
If
an
you're
adult
a
to give
child,
me money.
give them money.
No, it's weird. It's
Sorry,
weird.
Jazz.
This is gonna be chaotic
This
to
would've been
edit.
such a
Thank
I
short
think
you.
you should get the
movie.
three of us together more often, though.
This would have been a very short
No, I
film.
promise on a better movie, I'll have better things to say.
It would have been a very much shorter
Okay.
film if he had offered the money and Carr had just said, "No, I'm not taking money from a 14-year-old."
Very
Indeed.
true.
Indeed. Well, hi, I've been Beck Silberfine. My name is too long and complicated, but if you scroll...
I think I went to camp with Rebecca
If you're listening to
Silverfine.
this, you probably went to camp with Beck.
Indeed. You probably went to camp with me. What's up?
You have silver at your name.
Silber with a B.
Silver, perfect.
Right? But if you go to the description of this podcast, you'll find my blue sky. I've decided to make myself present to the fans.
Nice.
As well as if you find yourself in any...
This time of year, it's a white and blue sky.
Indeed. If you find yourself in any cities and you hear that Complexion's Contemporary Ballet is coming to dance in your city, maybe go see them. I work for them, and my dancers, they are a delight.
Aw, do they dance like the team does?
No, they...
Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel.
I can assure you, you will see much better dancing than that.
Okay.
Fair enough. And for our call to action this episode, I am going to recommend you look into foodrescue.us. They're a great organization that basically transfer fresh food surpluses from local businesses to social service agencies serving the food insecure. So you can help, quote unquote, rescue the food, or you can donate food, or you can even start a food rescue site yourself. So you should check out their website at foodrescue.us to learn more. And as always, you can find me at Faye Riviera on basically all of the socials. And you can follow this podcast on still Twitter for the time being until that ship finally sinks, and Blue Sky at IER Podcast. Consider helping us reach the next chapter of our story by donating to our Patreon, which will still be running even during the hiatus after our Retelling the News Public Domain Day episode. Stay tuned for that. And we also have Ko-Fi pages, or you could hit the support the show link below. Or if you're tightening your belt this new year, please still consider rating us on the podcatcher of your choice, leaving us a review. There are comments in the Spotify page now. Or even just giving us good word of mouth with, again, the nerds in your life. We've got one more episode that is going to be the Retelling the News Public Domain Day episode before we go on hiatus until, well, let's just say there's going to be a Worlds Elsewhere collaboration by the end of the month. But stay tuned on Monday to find out what is now eligible for this podcast. We hope you'll come join us, and happy belated Hanukkah, happy New Year, and remember, stories gain power in each retelling.
And so each year, when the days grow short and night threatens to overwhelm, we light the menorah to remember the courage of the Maccabees. But even more, to celebrate the light that miraculously burned for 8 days. The light that continues to deliver us from darkness, to illuminate our dreams, to turn strangers into friends, and to shine as a beacon of hope to all the world.